Hello, how are you? We're gonna get started in about 2 more minutes. Let some folks come in. Happy to see you guys joining us today. I'm gonna go ahead and drop some links in the chat for you. This is a slide deck we're gonna be working out of today. Actually, let me check the chat preferences. Notice there's been a little issue. That should be better. We're gonna get started in a little bit. At this point, you should have signed in, but just in case you may have missed it, I'm gonna put it in the chat because we wanna make sure that everybody gets paid today. We're gonna get started in about 1 more minute. Super excited to see you guys joining us. I know it's the last session of the day, so we appreciate you coming along the journey with us all day, and I hope it's been a great one so far. We're gonna give folks maybe 1 more minute before we kick off. I'm gonna drop in the slides and the sign in for folks. If you've already signed in today, you don't have to do it again, but I just love to make sure that people have access to the resources that they need. So those are the slides, the sign in. And if you're here, we're gonna do a quick little sharing of what we've learned so far these last 5 to 6 years now of personalized learning environments here in SFUSD. My name is Devlin Jackson, and I am serving as program lead going into my second year. Before that, I was an PLE educator from the beginning of PLE. So we're going to chat a little bit about what we've learned so far. Another reminder, if you haven't signed in yet today, please make sure you sign in. This is how we make sure that you get your payment for joining us before your official day starts. We want to make sure you get all of the money that you are due for being an amazing educator in SFUSD. I'm going to drop this in the chat one more time as I see more folks trickling in. We're going to get started. I have a very quick warm opener, but I feel like it's very necessary after a very long digital district day to just kind of check in with yourself. I know it says we're going to spend 3 to 5 minutes working on this. We're actually just going to spend 2 to 3 minutes working on this in the interest of time. We're going to give ourselves a second to relax and focus in on the moment. So we're going to spend the next few minutes kind of working through this mindfulness scavenger hunt. You can do every single line of these, or you can just focus on one, keeping your screen off if you'd like, but you can also cut your screen on if you would love for others to see your face. So it's a space for you to kind of take a deep breath, relax, recognize that you've been in sessions all day and your body may be tired. So giving ourselves a moment to just connect and release. And while you guys are doing that, I am going to drop some links in the chat for our friends who are joining us. For folks just joining the call, we're just doing a 1 to 2 minute mindfulness break. We know that the first week back can be kind of hectic, and we know that you've been with us since 8 o'clock this morning, so we appreciate you joining us. Before we jump into our meeting, we just wanted to give ourselves time to be present in the moment. You're welcome to close your eyes, go video off, grab a drink of water, look out the window, but just giving yourself maybe 1 or 2 more minutes to just check in with yourself before we dive deep these next 25 minutes. All right, sunshines, we're going to keep rocking and rolling in the interest of time. I'm going to drop our slides and our sign in one more time. At this point, you should have signed in at least once, but if you haven't yet, go ahead and sign in because we want to make sure you are getting paid for showing up today. You have access to our slides. If you have any questions that aren't answered, feel free to message me whenever. And I'm happy to share with you guys. My name is Devlin Jackson. I'm a part of the digital learning team. I support cohort 4 primarily, but I also am PLE program lead. It's my second year going into that role. So today we're just going to do a quick little share out of what we've learned, more of the research side of it. Because we've been in an amazing research partnership for the last 5 years, and we've realized that we don't really get to share with educators what we've learned from working with educators and families and students these last few years. So this is a quick micro section to just kind of show you the highlights. And if you would like to know more, I'm definitely down to chat more deeply, but this is a very, very quick overview, but I will share all the resources that we have if you'd like to have a deeper conversation about it. All right. Information about getting paid is also on the slide deck. I'm going to breeze over that because I know you guys have seen both of those slides at least 5 times today. Our norms for today, if you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat. I do not have a moderator for this session, so it may take me a second to look at questions in the chat. You can also raise your hand and I will get to them as I can, but also I can stay on a few minutes later if you have a question that you need answered by the end of today. Also, please stay muted so others can hear. And a big one for today is take what you can today and come back for more later. It is not enough time to chat with you guys about PLE in 30 minutes. This is a quick overview, also kind of showing you where the resources live. So please always come back and come back to me. You can fill out a help desk ticket. And someone on my team is more than happy to share PLE and what we've learned with you guys. This is just a very, very quick overview. All right, gonna keep going. All right. In our meeting today, we are trying to do 2 things. We're trying to help you guys understand the scope of PLE, what PLE is, and kind of discover some new insights around leveraging technology in your classroom this year, really looking at what the research is saying, and the research is coming from SFUSD educators and SFUSD students, and how we can use those resources to improve our practices or just enhance what we're doing in the classroom. We're gonna keep on going. Right, for our agenda today, we're just did a quick little getting started. We're about to do some framing. After we'll do some framing, we'll share a couple of findings, insights, and trends that we found in PLE. Then we'll chat about what's next for PLE this year. And if you're anything like me, you're always like, well, how do I continue this at my site? We'll share 2 key ways that you can continue to get support around digital learning and personalized learning environments at your site. And then we'll do some quick closing moves. It is a very quick session, so we're just going to breeze through some things. I definitely can share the link with you. But remember, if you don't get the answer that you were looking for, feel free to message me. Feel free to write me something in the chat. Feel free to send me a help desk ticket or email me, and I'm more than happy to respond and spend more time with you over these resources. All right, let's get into some framing. So when we're chatting about why technology matters for educational equity. And we really want to focus, and in the DOT, we focus a lot on both equity of access and equity of opportunity. So not only how are we giving students devices and making sure that they have access to quality internet, but really empowering students and their families to be agents in their own learning. How do they use digital learning to support their critical thinking skills and how they show up in the world, not only in our classrooms, but once they leave SFUSD, how they show up in the world as productive and capable students and adults. And so when we think about technology in that role, we think about how we can give the devices, but also give them opportunities to explore and engage with them to support their critical thinking skills. And so we always go back to SFUSD's mission and vision, and we start with that. So every day we provide each and every student the quality instruction and equitable support required to thrive in the 21st century. And then with that vision, also knowing that all SFUSD students will graduate as independent thinkers with a sense of agency who have attained academic and creative skills to lead productive lives and contribute to our community. So thinking about that, we really used our PLE program mission to think about how we're supporting specifically pre-K through 5th grade schools to create models for technology-enabled personalized learning environments that transform student learning across SFUSD that will specifically benefit our African American and focal students and can eventually be scaled district-wide so that each and every student can achieve the competencies of the graduate profile. All that is saying that we have a theory, and I want to share our theory with you. We believe that by gathering data to prove these things, that educators that participate in this type of programming and PLE, personalized learning environments, are able to deepen their own understanding of effective teaching strategies for literacy using technology-enabled personalized learning spaces and environments. And that by sharing those examples and best practices that they've engaged with other educators, the PLE educators are actually building confidence and capacity within themselves and across school districts. And so this would lead to increased academic ownership, opportunities for students to demonstrate learning and student engagement and belonging. Really, really long, really, really cool way to say that if we're giving educators multiple spaces and opportunities to explore digital learning, to explore blended learning, to explore what it looks like to use digital learning and the practices of digital learning with their students when they're teaching other content areas, they're actually building capacity and confidence within themselves so they can then go on and share with other educators and continue this space where teachers are learning from each other about how to use technology in really cool and engaging ways to support student achievement. So we've thought about this and we tried to find a way to make this like really easy and be able to chunk and chew it. And everyone loves a cycle of inquiries, cycles of learning. And so we said, well, what's the PLE cycle look like? And quite simply, it's about really getting to know your students. So we always start every year with empathy interviews, student empathy interviews. You can interview the whole class, you can interview the subset, you could focus on focal students. And ask them questions. What do you like about school? What does learning look like for you? What does it feel like for you? Who do you enjoy learning with? What type of things do you do at home to learn? Like whatever question you're trying to get at, really getting to that empathy interview piece to get to know your students and using that data to be able to align it to SFUSD curriculum. We know that we have some cool curriculum and some folks think we don't have some cool curriculum, but how are we using that curriculum to connect to what our students' experiences are so that they walk away and come into classrooms engaged and excited to be there? Then we go into this lesson design and implementation guide, and that's really where educators start working with each other in a virtual format. But this is where we engage with each other and they ask questions. Well, I saw you do this really cool thing with Seesaw. How do you do that? Or I saw that you did this really exciting thing with Newsela. I have no idea how to do that. And by leaning on each other, they're able to kind of get to the nitty gritty of how this is actually something that can happen in the classroom. And so they do their own lesson designs, they share their lesson plans, and they also record themselves teaching in the classroom. So then other educators can watch those videos and ask questions and get a deeper understanding of what this looks like in real time with real students in SFUSD and real SFUSD curriculum and deadlines and milestone assessments. And that's where we feel we get to stage number 5, the personalized experience, when educators have time to connect with students, look at curriculum together, chat with each other, and then share what that feels like in real time. Then we can say, oh, here's technology that does this thing that could help, or here's this way that you could set up your classroom that supports this thing that your student is saying. But really working together as a unit and as a group of educators to make that work happen. All educators opt into the program, so no one is forced to be in it. They all join the program and they meet virtually every month to learn and share ways to use technology to enable deeper learning. Teachers have opportunities to share their learning with colleagues within the district and across different school sites. And the aim is that every session, educators leave with practical strategies to implement in their classrooms. Let's see how we're doing on time. I'm going to show you guys a very quick video. It's like a 1-minute video just to kind of show you what actually happens in those spaces, what classrooms look like with PLE educators. Oh, Duncan, I just saw your note. There was sound, but it was more just like music background, so you didn't miss anything. But when you look at the slides, you'll definitely hear the sound. And I also saw something pop up in the Q&A. I'm just going to speak to it out loud instead of typing back. The district is actually one-to-one for grades fourth, well, for all grades. When it comes to taking home, it's fourth grade and up. But we are a one-to-one district. If you feel that your school site is not there yet, I'm going to share some resources on how you can connect with your digital learning cohort partner to make that a reality in your school, because we do have a huge emphasis on tech. And at this point, all of our students should have access to it. So if you feel like you don't have access, let's connect after this call to make sure that we start working on that for you and your site. All right, let's keep going. So one of the cool and unique things about PLE is that we have a really great partnership with SFUS, with Stanford in our research practice partnership. We're currently in our 6th year of this partnership, and the research findings are continuously shared from the researchers, and what our work that we do, they come to all of our meetings so that we can use this information to kind of inform the PLE design and create future research and figure out what we really want to get down to, what's the nitty gritty of our work. It's really something that I enjoy because it means that we get to work together with researchers. As an educator, I feel like sometimes the research would be a little bit behind from what we're actually going through. And this space and the way that it's been structured has been able educators to come on the call and say, this is what's going on in real time. What are we going to do about it? And we can shift our question and we can shift the way that we're engaging with this so we can give educators questions in real time, and they can also share with us in real time. So it's been a very unique and really nice experience to be a part of. So we're going to share a little bit of what the research has shown from the work that we've done these last couple of years. The hard numbers is that over the last 6 years, we've served 17 schools, pre-K through 5th grade. 108 teachers have participated, and over 2,500 students and their families have been a part of this work. So it's kind of exciting to hear it when you hear it that way, and we can always do more. 17 sounds really large, but there's a lot of elementary schools in SFUSD, and what does that look like to bring it up to even higher numbers? In terms of the findings, so far, these are not all the findings, but these are the ones that kind of stood out the most. And all of these findings are from researcher observations, teacher surveys that happen after every meeting, and interviews that happen at the end of the school year. And all this is opt-in. We can't force teachers to do it. We don't want to force teachers to do it. This is all from what they've shared from their experiences. So the first one is that participating in the PLE pilot led to changes in teachers' instructions. Teachers named consistently and always name that being a part of PLE has changed the way that they've looked at educating in classrooms and blended learning practices. Teachers have found value in learning about a variety of digital tools. So really thinking about that mindset shift. How are we bringing educators who have never learned about digital learning or weren't in a teacher prep program that even discussed digital learning to now being the innovators in their schools and in their spaces, saying these are the cool ways we can leverage technology to support students, to support families. And lastly, PLEs provide a collaborative space for teachers to share and get feedback, and especially in this format where we're hybrid when it comes to PLCs and trainings and conferences. Are we still creating those spaces where educators can come on and chat and share with each other? It's been cited a lot of times that the peer observation is one of the things that educators love the most. They can't get out to other school sites to watch teaching, but being able to pull up someone's Zoom or a recording of a space not only shows them something new, but it also makes them feel seen and heard. Like my classroom looks exactly like that classroom, and everything isn't always perfect, but the ways that these educators are innovating and using tools makes it feel a little bit more doable because their experience is mirroring my experience. So in terms of recommendations, what can we do more of? And these were strictly from surveys and interviews. We didn't want to use observations because we didn't have the context to go back with it, but this is exactly what teachers are saying in their interviews and in their surveys about what we can do more of. And so thankfully, it wasn't a lot of you haven't been doing any of it. It's just continue to do more and show more. So the first one was building on teacher and student fluency with technology to capitalize on technology-enabled opportunities. How are we really making sure that teachers and students feel confident with technology so that when they're walking in spaces where there is technology, they don't feel nervous, they don't feel like they're ready to disengage. It's actually something that excites them and brings in more engagement. Expanding opportunities for teacher collaboration and sharing best practices. It's been great finding cool ways to do it in this virtual format, but educators are ready to get in person in some type of way. So how are we leaning in on our partners and with other SFUSD departments to see what it looks like to maybe bring teachers back together in person settings again? Providing more specific tools and strategies for promoting equity and or supporting students from historically underserved backgrounds, including African American students, Latinx students, English learners, our multilingual learners, and our SPED students. So really thinking about if we're saying we want to support our focal students and SFUSD has named what those focal students are and how we're going to do that work, how are our tools that we're using in SFUSD, our digital learning tools, supporting that? Is it just something that everyone can use? Is it something that's really focused to support one of those focal groups, really pulling back the layers of what that looks like? Continuing to invest in school family partnerships and seek ways to continue to connect families with children's learning. If we are using digital learning tools, if it doesn't have a family component, is it really doing that each and every? Are we really supporting all of our students and their families if we're already living out their families, knowing that school and family partnerships are huge? And lastly, how do we provide more examples of student work, strategies, as well as projects from other educators related to tech integration? So we always have great examples of lesson plans and resources that educators have created. It has been a little difficult to get the examples of student work. One of it is because of student privacy, but others is because we're still in the very beginning stages of having students um, use digital learning tools regularly to where we can pull dynamic content. So this year, it's a big focus on how are we making sure that students have spaces to share their work, showing what they know more in digital spaces instead of just taking in really cool information. How are they producing really good information, our resources in digital learning spaces as well? All right. So what's next for PLE and the digital learning team? In terms of PLE, the Personalized Learning Environments program, we started something new last year that was called home groups. And that is when educators who are all at the same site and are a part of PLE have time to meet together and chat about how they've learned a new strategy in PLE and how that relates to their school priorities. We learned that there was a disconnect, that educators would be in a PLE program, see something really cool, but they feel like sometimes it competed against, or they didn't know how to build that connection with school priorities. So giving them that home group time gives them time to collaborate even further with people who are doing the same type of work to figure out how to bridge those connections and make it a little bit more integrated and part of the everyday experience. Another thing that we're doing this year is partnering with the CSACE program. And that program is really looking at early intervention and how we shifting some of the ways that some of our students are over identified and how can PLE play a role in that and support that work. That's something that we're really excited about this year. And last but not least, highlighting and documenting the student experience more. How are we making sure that we get to share the cool things that students are creating and doing and being very intentional about that this year? In terms of digital learning team, we want to provide more opportunities for all SFUSD educators, not just PLE educators, but all SFUSD educators to learn about the approved digital learning resources. We know that there is a plethora out there, but there are not that many that are approved and recommended by SFUSD. How do we make sure if we're working towards coherence, that all of our SFUSD educators know where to go to find the approved apps and that those approved apps meet the needs of each and every student and educator and family member? And then also sharing concrete examples of educators' work. So like their lessons, their videos, if they have student artifacts, how do we build that continuum so that an educator could say, I really want to learn about how to use Seesaw to leverage a science activity that I'm doing and not have to be the brainchild of it all, but be able to just kind of pull some resources that are tried and true, excuse me, from other SFUSD educators. So those are some things that we're working on this year that we're well, I'm really excited about. The team is excited about too, but I'm really excited about them. All right. So if you heard this and you said, Devlin, tell me more. Don't have enough time to tell you more today, But I can share 2 ways that you can learn more about PLE and digital learning outside of Digital District Day. The first one is to reach out to your digital learning partner. Every cohort, so every school is a part of a cohort. Every cohort has a digital learning partner assigned to them. If you don't know who your digital learning partner is, when you look at this slide deck, you're going to go to slide 21, and it's going to give you a list of your digital learning cohort partner. The other thing, if you're more interested in PLE and you want to know more about how you can be involved in PLE, or educators at your site can be involved in PLE, you're going to go to slide 21 and click on more information for PLE, and it'll connect you to me. So I'm going to drop the slides in the chat again. Sorry, guys. Alrighty. And we're going to keep on going. And that actually brings us, look at that, 6 minutes early. That brings us to the end. So I really would appreciate your feedback. What would you have liked to know more of? What would you have been fine if I skipped over? If there's any other information that you would just like to share with me, it always improves my practice. I love sharing with you guys, but I appreciate when you guys tell me how I can help out more. I'm going to drop the feedback in the chat. And when you're filling it out, please make sure you select personalized learning environments, sharing what we've learned. And I forgot to share this with you guys, but another space where you can get more information about just PLE and what's going on in PLE is our PLE webpage. I'm going to drop that in the chat too for folks who want to know more. I'm going to leave this here for a little bit, and then I'll share some other resources that we just have that are DOT related, Department of Technology related. But I appreciate you guys spending your last session with me, learn about PLE in a super fast format. I hope you got to learn something new. And if you want to know more, feel free to reach out to me.
Hey, is it Devlin again?
It is, yes.
Can I ask a question?
Of
I
course.
asked it in the Q&A and you responded a little bit, but I'm in the middle of kind of a hectic situation at home right now, but so I missed it. I'm trying to understand, is the district moving towards one-to-one? Because we are getting all this tech, and I'm happy for that, but we're not one-to-one. So I'm a little bit confused. We talk about equity, we talk about technology. So where are the computers that we used during the pandemic? Like one-to-one, like where? And I'm sorry, I'm giving you this question, but you're
No,
available.
you're fine.
I'm sorry if you're the target of this question and maybe you don't have the answer, but that was my question. Where are the computers?
Yes. Okay. So it may be a bigger question for your site, but I'm going to answer this way starting off, and then we can do another check-in if we need to. So SFUSD is one-to-one, which means that all students in SFUSD should have a device assigned to them. K through 3, and this is different. So if you're early ed, this is different for you. If you are K through 3, that means that that student's device lives at the school, but they still have a device that is theirs. It lives in a Chromebook cart. When their teacher says, oh, it's time to do Seesaw, they pull their Chromebook out, they scan it in, and they should always have something for them to use in their classroom. If you are 4th grade and if a student is 4th grade and up, they should have a device assigned to them that should not live in their classroom. It should be going back and forth if the school says they need to bring it to school every day, or it can stay at home if you're using it more for homework purposes, but it has to be assigned to them. If there is a situation that's other than that, and you're like, oh, I have a kindergartner who I want to do a take home process, that is a one-to-one conversation that the site needs to have with the family, and our team, digital learning team, can help facilitate that conversation and give you resources to support it. But K through 3 students should have their devices that stay at home. K through 3 devices stay at school, and 4th through 12th are assigned to students and they go between home and school. Does that help?
Kind of. So since we're technically done, I just want to ask then, I know that Soda applied to be 1-to-1 and they got that last year, but as far as I know, in the high schools I work with, that is not necessarily true. Is anyone else like feeling what I'm saying, or am I tripping?
No, you're not at all. Like and
Okay.
even some of the sites that I work with and partner with, not all sites feel comfortable or ready to do that work yet. And that is when it's time for you guys to link in with the digital learning team. That yes, it may be uneasy, yes, it may be uncomfortable, but this is something that we're moving on so that we do, like you said, have equity across the district, because each and every student at this point should have access to a device that they can use regularly. So if
Okay, I'm
there's
a
a
coach
site
you.
that
I'm a
you
coach you.
know of,
Okay, yes, there is.
I'm
Yes.
gonna have you DM me, and then
Okay.
I can connect you with the right person so that they can make this a reality for that school site. So we don't have to put any site on blast right now. But we'll
Okay. I'll message
yes.
you.
And if there's more than one, just write them all down for me. Um, but that is where we're moving. That is where we should be this year. So the reason why you guys are getting so much digital learning information and so much tech information is because the expectation is at this point, every site should have, and every site and every student should have access to devices. I'm also going to stop my share right now. And I don't want to take anybody away, so feel free if you have more questions, but I believe that they are having a closing right now. Let me make sure I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. Yes, they are in the middle of closing right now. Oh, no. Sorry, it live streamed somebody else's session. Maybe that was it. I thought there was a closing session.
Well, it is noted that Dan Frost is doing a 10-minute closing, so.
Okay, thank you. I was like, I know I saw that somewhere, but now I don't see it
Yes,
on my.
it's in the agenda, yes.
Okay, they may be starting it in the next couple of minutes. I don't see that it started yet, but if you want to take a little break before the closing with Dan, this may be a good time. If you have any other questions, please feel free to stay on. Margot, am I saying your name right? I think I got your messages.
Yes, you are. Congratulations, because very few people get it right.
Oh, same as Devlin. I'm used to my name being said wrong, so I try to make sure I
Yeah.
say other people's names right.
Is it spelled correctly on the screen? Because it was spelled differently earlier.
Devalin?
Yes, okay,
Yes,
thank
that's
you.
correctly.